Hey Kenneth, welcome to the Divestopedia podcast. How you doing?
Good, John. Nice to see you.
Yeah, great to see you too. Hey, you're in North Carolina, right? How's the deal making environment out there?
We are. We're in near Research Triangle Park. We're in Raleigh. From what I'm seeing is there's a lot of activity. A lot of it's kind of interesting. I don't know how much detail you want, but when we started the year, it was almost like on January 4th, somebody opened the spigot.
Okay, well, what do you think's driving that?
The feedback, I think it's a couple of things. One is I think from last year, there's a lot of pent up demand, folks trying to get through 2020. I think the political environment has had some to do with that, kind of waiting to see, who's going to be in control, so to speak. And then I think because I think that affects and no question it affects the psychology around different folks of how they think that economy is going to go, and it also affects the taxation. I mean, I think one of the drivers I've heard from a number of folks is that, hey, there's been a fair amount of volatility. We now see where the administration's kind of plans are, and we're not that we buy into it or we don't buy into it, but we know that we're going to have to pay more taxes given all that's happened with COVID. And it's probably a good time if valuations hold for us to try to create an exit or go ahead and do a transition.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, locally in my region here, I think people are having more of a wait and see attitude. I guess the globe has been closed here for the last year or so to just jump right into M&A, and maybe it's a function of kind of the industry as well. I mean, my region is oil and gas, centric and industrial centric. There's kind of transition over to a more technology based, but I think in that space, there's definitely that wait and see attitude.
We've had a we're in Research Triangle Park area, Raleigh, North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham. We have a lot of growth, an influx of a lot of people coming from either the West Coast or from the Northeast, and so the economy here is booming. It's very strong, and I think that also feeds into why we're seeing deal activity. Most of our clients are here in the area, and business for many of them was good last year. So it was not, while there were variations in revenue and there were bumps, things like that, and a lot of deals did get stalled. I don't know exactly what you saw, John, but we had a decent start to last year, and then with COVID, we things that were in the pipe that were with strategics, we were able to get a couple of those deals done, and then it went into a kind of a holding pattern for most of the rest of the year. And there was a lot of discussions with people, a lot of discussions of talking about owners and how their businesses were going and how they were managing through the recovery. And then as we got into this year, as I indicated, I think there was kind of a burst of activity. And I've tested that with different accountants and attorneys in the area, deal folks, and it seems to be there's some consistency. It seems to be that it's not just our firm, but there are others that are experiencing the same thing.
Yeah. I wasn't working on a deal that kind of overlapped the lockdown or shutdown period, but I did work on a deal, during the period. And one thing I kind of wanted to chat with you was just kind of the deal making environment and how things have changed. But, in that deal that I worked on, the business owner and I never met in person. Everything was done virtually online. Introduced him to, a lawyer that I kind of added to the team, and away we went. Like, we negotiated the deal from start to finish, through conference call and Zoom chats. So wanted to get your take on kind of the deal making environment and this idea of just virtual deal making. Is that a new thing? Is that a new trend that you see that's here to stay?
It's interesting you asked that question. I think that, if you had asked me a year ago, if we had done this a year ago, I would have said, hey, maybe we can carry on with existing relationships to get deals done, but we're not going to be able to get new clients or new projects until we can get back in person. And I've been proven wrong. Late in the fall of last year, we had a couple of opportunities. We started to see a little bit of movement in the pipeline, and we were able to build relationships. Now, granted, a lot of our deals come through attorneys and accountants and other previous clients. So our business is a referral business, probably similar to yours. We don't get a lot of cold call type of work. And so we were able to start some new relationships in that environment where it was primarily Zoom or Teams meeting calls. We were able to do conference calls, exchanging information. And we actually have been able to get new engagements where we haven't met the people. And I was going to say impressed. It's not impressed. I've been pleasantly surprised at the reception that people have had that have been willing to engage and to learn more about each other and to actually move forward, with projects, even though we haven't met in person. So I'm kind of optimistic. I tell you, one of the positives out of that is our ability to actually be more efficient. I'm kind of excited about it. It's not that I don't want to be with clients in person because I really do, but it changes the expectation of having to have every meeting in person, which, as I'm realizing, burns up a lot more time than I thought it did.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, for just kind of completing that deal has really been, a paradigm shift for me in terms of the way that, deals are executed and the relationships that I build. I mean, question for you: Do you think business owners now seek out the best deal makers in their industry, regardless of region? Like I've talked to you about this before, but is region and is physical location a factor for hiring an investment bank? It kind of has changed my mind on this, but love to get your take on it.
Well, I think the door's open where we may be able to lead deals where they're not or we're not local. Once again, if you had asked that question a year ago, I would have said being in front of people, especially on the deals the size when you talk about the lower middle market, where the deal value may be and the fees may not support fly-in relationships. Get on a plane every week or two, be in somebody's office. It can get pretty expensive. And on a bigger deal, you can do that. You can fly a team in, you can do those things. But on the smaller deals, the lower end of the middle market, that just it doesn't make sense economically. And now I do believe that the opportunity, especially if you have some vertical expertise or you have some a relationship leverage or a relationship advantage, or there's just a really good chemistry. I think we're entering kind of a new phase of deal making where we may very well be able to lead deals in territories where we used to think, or I used to think maybe we couldn't do it because of this kind of
Yeah,
barrier
I
of
agree with you.
of having to be there.
I think our firms are quite similar, right? Where we're rather boutique. I've had this
Right.
conversation with you before, but my kind of philosophy on execution of deal maker, it really is the quality and the expertise of the deal maker that I think is kind of the critical factor for success. And I mean, there's so many. The technology is like leveling the playing field between our sizes of firms on the boutique side with some of the bigger players. Like we have access to the exact same tools. We probably have access to the same expertise of staff members, and now being virtual, we have access to connect with kind of the entrepreneurs that we have the greatest chemistry with. So it really is kind of an equalizer.
Right.
Yep.
I was just going to play one follow up on that is that I think that what it allows is that you and I have been doing this long enough as we're kind of senior guys, so to speak, where we can give a very high touch. I love doing deals, so I don't delegate my I don't have a big team. We have my business partner Buddy Howard and I primarily tag team every transaction, and we love doing deals. We're kind of we love solving problems, and we're very good at deal problem solving. So it allows us to, as senior guys, so to speak, be able to engage with clients and give that kind of premium, high touch, holistic service and capability to folks no matter where they're located.
Yeah, that's kind of, the value proposition that I tried to sell to the market is that, white glove, high touch. You're saying all the same things that I say when I talk to clients. But, I love doing deals. I love like rolling up my sleeves. I like working on financial models. I love negotiating. I love kind of the reaching out to prospective buyers. So, I think that, there's a little bit of art to that, and maybe it's just me kind of holding on when really I could delegate better, but I see value in that, in being able to execute on that for my clients, and it sounds like your firm is kind of in the same boat with that high touch, real deep involvement in the deal.
Yeah, I think it's the same, John. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially
awesome.
when you're
Hey,
dealing with companies that are somewhere. Yeah, sorry for the delay. Especially when you're dealing with companies that are somewhere between a few million from a transaction value to say 50 or 60 million. They need more high touch because of the just the stage of the company and typically the stage of the management team.
So yeah, I mean, when does it become, and I debate this, like, I really am trying to find the best kind of solution for my clients, and if I feel like a bigger firm might provide them with more value. When do you think that transfers over the boutique to like the larger investment bank? Is that kind of the $100 million threshold, or is there is it just, it depends?
Well, I think there's two answers to that. One is if you think about the the term boutique and we're talking about the middle market, I think that somewhere in that 50 to 100 million, there is a transition that takes place. And I think that transition has to do with the how experienced the management team is, how mature the company is and its processes, and depend. So I think that there are companies that may be 50 million that could very well fit well within a large investment banking relationship. But I would say most of those at 50 million, 40, 50 million are going to end up needing more hand holding. And then as you move between 50 and 100, typically by the time you get to 100 or 120 million, you've probably got a management team that's done deals before that is a lot of the things that would be the items that you would handhold on or help with in the smaller deals, they wouldn't need that hand holding in the bigger deals. However, the creative problem solving doesn't go away when you're talking about a 30 or 40 million dollar company versus 150 million. You still need that creative problem solving. So I think it depends on the I'm going to use the term how much hair is on the deal, as to how much creative problem solving it really takes to get a transaction done. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking, but
Yeah, yeah, I think so, and I mean, there are lots of great deal makers in in the big firms. I
yeah,
find personally that there's maybe my own brain capacity can only work on one or two deals at a time, whereas in a bigger firm you might be juggling a lot of different clients and maybe some admin. So again, I think being that high touch, that really deeply involved person in a transaction is maybe better suited for my skill set, and I think it delivers value for the client as well. But I have a biased view on all that.
yeah, I do too. Yeah, I'm clear. Clearly, if we had somebody else on the call from a different perspective, we'd hear a different answer.
Yeah, guaranteed, guaranteed. Hey, I wanted to jump into your involvement in. I'm always super impressed of what you've done for kind of the middle market, on the education side, and I mean, you were one of the authors on the middle market M&A handbook. Just tell me about your passion around educating this market and this space, and your continued involvement in around education, because I think you and I also share that passion on the education side.
Part of it's selfish, and part of it is very collaborative. I would say that the selfish part has to do with the way that I learn and try to be sharp about what's happening is by teaching or by writing. So that's the selfish part is it helps me be better for my clients if I teach and write. On a collaborative standpoint, as you and I we're doing here, I don't think I love to learn and collaborate with others in the industry, and that's one way of being able to add value or to participate in that kind of discussion about what's happening and how things are evolving and how do we accomplish or how do we overcome issues and generate friendships. That educational component to me is that venue for doing that. So I'm thank you for bringing that up. How about for yourself? Can I
Yeah, you know,
flip the tables?
I share a lot of the same reasons. I mean, selfishly, you know, there's a marketing component to it, you know, obviously, right? There's a thought leadership component
Sure.
to it, getting out in front of the marketplace, kind of, you know, telling them your positions and opinions on deal making. But I really love learning. Like, you know, I jump on a call with, you know, a super smart guy like yourself, and I'm learning and I'm, you know, thinking and I'm opening my perspective on deal making, which, again, you know, is kind of my craft. So I'm trying to kind of sharpen that saw, to be better. And the way to do that is to really kind of connect with
Yes.
other thought leaders and, you know, get different perspectives. So for me, it's, you know, I'm almost kind of positioned it as a life mission. I also see kind of the difference it makes for business owners, to be able to monetize. I know how difficult it is to sell a business, and I know I've seen failures, and I've seen success, and the success is so brings me a lot of satisfaction when I'm just able to, when I know that it's more than just kind of, you know, it's more than just kind of closing a deal. It's about, you know, creating security, and being able to monetize this
Yeah.
really illiquid asset for business owners. It brings me a lot of joy and a lot of personal satisfaction. So, you know, that's why I kind of seek to educate, is because there is a real need, and, you know, kind of a lack of knowledge, understandably, I think. And I'll get your take on it, but you know, business owners only do this once, maybe twice in their lives, exiting kind of their private businesses. So,
Right.
you know, it's not something that they spend a whole bunch of time thinking about until the event actually comes to a point where they want to execute on it. So, you know, I think just educating people, and, you know, when they're ready and the time is right, then they have resources that maybe that, you know, I've provided that help them out. So,
Yeah, that it's really interesting you say that because I think that there is a personal satisfaction, and it's one of the reasons I like doing what I do. Is there's a personal satisfaction of helping an owner, one refine what their goals are if they need, if that's a part of it, helping understand what they want to accomplish for them and their family, whether it's at one owner or multiple owners, and then being able to help them navigate the process to achieve that goal, and that's really satisfying. So clearly, there's an economic driver here. Price is always important. Our fees, making money, it's how we make a living. But there's this whole other side of it that's really rewarding, and that's where some of the creativity comes in because if you're selling a public company, you know what the answer is. Where's the best value? Where's the best price? And that's about it. There's a lot of other kind of objectives usually in these sale processes, and helping those owners achieve those. The kind of the optimal outcome and actually getting a deal done. Sometimes, I mean, the other thing, John, that I'm guessing you see is that some businesses are really niche. I mean, many businesses are really niche, and there's not that many options to create a transition or an exit. And being able to come up with that option and actually get it done, that is not a given. It doesn't, I don't know how many business owners think like this, but it's not a given that you can sell your company. It's not every business sells.
yeah, yeah, no, and we know that all too well, probably. But, you know, and you brought up a really good point around, the objectives, the differences between, and nobody would know this better than you, but the differences between the public markets and the private markets, where, in a publicly traded company, there's just such a wide, diverse shareholder base that really the only common objective, is almost maximizing value, right? Is how do we get the
Right.
best price for these shares? Because you can't possibly satisfy everybody's objectives. But in a private company, there's lots more than just kind of maximizing value that might be of importance to the business owner. It might be legacy. It might be, the welfare of their employee base. It might be, kind of growth of the
Hmm.
management team. So really kind of articulating and finding out what those objectives are and finding solutions. Yeah, no, that is, that's kind of the art. I think that we find in kind of the public, or sorry, the private markets versus the public markets.
I was going to say that part of that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So your book was, I mean, it was positioned more for the investment banker than the private business owner. Is that right? I mean, it's a very, like, it's an awesome book, but it's almost, I would find that it's probably technical for most business owners.
John, you're right. It was written for the advisory community. It was written for those that are in the process, in the sale, the buy and sell process. Not to be cheesy here at all, but we are doing a second edition, and we're going to broaden that audience a little bit and try to incorporate the business owner and provide a little more context for the business owner, and not to take away from the advisory community, but broaden the audience, the readership, as a handbook for doing deals.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what are you currently doing around the education piece? Because I know that you're such a thought leader in the space, and you're always kind of in the market to educate. So that's great. We're definitely going to have to find ways to collaborate, because I think that direct, in this time of, everything being virtual, people, I think, being more open to online education, has just opened up a direct line to the business owner, where I think a lot of times people are feeling like they need to go through those intermediaries, right, through the lawyers and the accountants and the trusted advisors. But now we have a direct line to the business owner. So I think there's lots that we can do from an education perspective.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that breaking that dynamic where business owners are willing to engage using technologies like you and I are using right now really opens us up to being more efficient, possibly adding more value and being a little more nimble in the process. So I'm excited about that. I think that one of the positives out of COVID is the embracing of the use of technology.
No doubt. Hey, Kenneth, I'm super appreciative of your time, and I can't wait to see kind of this second edition of the Middle Market M&A Handbook. Again, we're going to have to find some way to collaborate, because I think there's lots of synergies between you and I, and I think we have good chemistry as well. So, if our audience wanted to reach out to you, Kenneth, where could they get a hold of you?
Well, John, thank you. I agree with you and do look forward to finding a way to work on some deals together, and appreciate especially even educational work together. So this is great being able to do this. We have our website is www.highrockpartners.com. It's highrockpartners.com. So that's probably the easiest way. You can always my phone number is on there, my email address is on there. You can that's probably the easiest way.
Sounds great. Hey, thanks again. I'm grateful for the work that you do in this space, and I know that anybody that kind of gets in front of your thought leadership is going to be grateful as well, because it's awesome stuff. So thanks, Kenneth, and
It,
I look forward to talking to you soon here.
it was great spending time with you, John.
Take care.